America has long believed it can travel anywhere. But in 2025, something changed. Across Asia, from the Middle East to Southeast Asia, a growing list of countries is quietly tightening entry rules, raising costs, adding new restrictions, or openly expressing frustration with American visitors. This is not a travel ban. This is a shift in attitude, a shift that many U.S. travelers never expected. Today, we're exploring 7 Asian countries showing clear signs that they no longer want American tourists the way they used to. Number 1. Japan. Japan used to rely heavily on American tourists. Millions visited Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and Hokkaido every year. But Japan's tourism strategy in 2025 is completely different. After years of overcrowding, disrespectful behavior from some tourists, and strain on local communities, Japan is redesigning who they want to attract. They don't want the everyone welcome, cheap travel, mass tourism model anymore. They want wealthier, respectful, pre-planned visitors who understand Japanese culture. That's why they introduced strict reservation systems for temples, parks, museums, and even famous streets to control crowd numbers. New taxes for popular attractions so only serious travelers go. Zero tolerance rules. Even minor cultural disrespect can lead to fines or being removed. Crackdowns on noisy, disruptive, or careless tourists. A limit on hotels and Airbnbs in overloaded areas like Kyoto and Shibuya. Japan's officials openly say quality over quantity. And because American tourism is often associated with big groups, loud public behavior, and overcrowded hotspots, Japan is subtly signaling that Americans are no longer the priority audience for the new VIP tourism system. Number 2. China. China and the US are experiencing one of the coldest relationships in decades. Trade tensions, geopolitical rivalry, military competition, sanctions, and mutual suspicions. Because of this political climate, tourism has become collateral damage. China won't officially say we don't want American tourists, but their actions say enough. Visas take longer and require more documentation. Screening is extremely strict, especially for Americans. Political tension makes travel feel uncomfortable and unpredictable. U.S. government advisories warn American citizens about traveling to China. China no longer promotes tourism campaigns targeting Americans. Instead, China is focusing on visitors from Russia, the Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia, markets with friendlier political ties. So the unspoken message becomes, American tourists are not the priority anymore. Number 3. India. India is not openly discouraging American tourists, but policy changes over the last few years reveal a different story. As India's economy grows rapidly, it is becoming less dependent on U.S. tourism money. That means they're shifting attention to countries with higher spending tourists like the Gulf, Europe, and Southeast Asia. Evidence of this shift includes higher visa fees specifically for Americans, shorter visa validity for some categories, increased questioning and security checks for American travelers at airports, more focus on attracting wealthy GCC tourists who spend significantly more than average U.S. tour groups. India's travel environment has become more elite, more selective, and more expensive. So while Americans are still welcome, India is no longer treating them as top priority visitors, especially those on mid-budget trips. Number 4. Qatar. Qatar has completely transformed the meaning of tourism. It doesn't want backpackers, casual holiday travelers, or anyone looking for cheap trips. Qatar wants luxury-only tourists, people who book 5-star hotels, premium experiences, private desert tours, and high-end shopping. That's why hotels are intentionally expensive to filter out low-budget travelers. Tourist attractions are designed for wealthy visitors, not mass tourism. Entry rules are strict and heavily focused on maintaining security and cultural respect. Many American tourists complain about Qatar's cultural and legal rules. Qatar dislikes this attitude and prefers visitors who fully respect its norms. Qatar hasn't banned Americans. But tourism officials clearly prefer travelers who are rich, quiet, disciplined, and culturally aware. If someone can't meet those standards, Qatar simply isn't interested. Number 5. Philippines. The Philippines has always been known for its warmth, hospitality, and love of travelers. But in 2025, many of the country's most beautiful regions are hitting their breaking point. Local communities, from the islands to the cities, are speaking out louder than ever about the growing pressure from foreign visitors. They complain about tourists ignoring sacred cultural rules like modesty, quiet zones, and respect for religious sites. Americans and Europeans acting entitled, refusing to follow simple local customs dangerous, overcrowding in iconic hotspots like Boracay, Palawan, Cebu, Siargao, environmental destruction, coral damage, littering, harming marine life, rising frustration as Western influencers treat local villages like props for social media. The government can no longer ignore this. Local officials have started enforcing strong measures, daily tourist limits on popular beaches and islands, heavy fines for anyone caught damaging ecosystems, mandatory environmental fees for every visitor, mass shutdowns of illegal homestays and unregistered Airbnbs. This backlash is not aimed purely at Americans. But because American tourists are often described by locals as loud, demanding, and culturally unaware, they become the most criticized group. For the first time, the Philippines is pushing back, choosing protection of culture and environment over Western tourism volume. Number 6. South Korea. South Korea became a global tourism magnet thanks to its unstoppable cultural wave. K-pop, K-dramas, street fashion, nightlife, food, and tech. For years, the country embraced Western fans with open arms, but in 2025, the relationship is cracking. Korean citizens are frustrated, even exhausted, and they're speaking up. Why? Western tourists crowd K-pop agency neighborhoods, waiting outside idols' homes and offices. Loud nightlife behavior in Hongdae, Itaewon, and Gangnam is pushing out locals, influencers, film locals without permission, violating privacy and tradition. Constant foreign presence in residential districts disrupts daily life. Communities demanded action, and the government responded. Now, crowd control systems are being set up around major tourist streets. Some neighborhoods are introducing restrictions on foreigners filming without permits. Tourism promotions are shifting toward Asian and Middle Eastern visitors, not American. South Korea once viewed American tourists as cultural ambassadors. But today, many Koreans feel overwhelmed, disrespected, and tired. The once strong love story between Korea and American visitors is slowly fading into something colder. Number 7. Thailand. For decades, Thailand was more than a destination. It was a lifestyle for American travelers. Backpackers built entire identities around Thailand's cheap hostels, $2 street food, endless parties, and long stays on tropical islands. Digital nomads lived in Chiang Mai and Phuket for months, sometimes years, on incredibly small budgets. Thailand became famous for being open, affordable, and forgiving. A paradise where Westerners could live freely without spending much. But in 2025, Thailand is tearing up that old playbook. The government is sending a message louder than ever: we don't want low-budget foreigners anymore. This isn't guesswork. The new rules tell the whole story. 1. Entry fees have jumped. Thailand introduced higher entrance charges for all international visitors. This wasn't done by accident. It was designed to filter out ultra-low-budget travelers who only spend the minimum amount once they arrive. The government wants people who contribute more to the economy, not backpackers stretching every dollar. 2. Visa extensions are much harder. The days of staying 6-12 months through back-to-back extensions are disappearing. Americans, who used to enter, extend, leave, re-enter, and repeat forever, are now being denied or forced to provide stricter proof of income, bookings, and purpose. Thailand is tightening long-stay rules because too many foreigners were working illegally, too many were avoiding taxes, too many were treating the country as a cheap escape. The message: if you can't show money, you won't stay. 3. Crackdowns on illegal digital nomads. Thailand once tolerated digital nomads working online without proper visas. Not anymore. Police now frequently raid cafes, co-working spaces. The new strategy: Thailand is making a deliberate shift. Fewer backpackers, fewer long-term Americans, more wealthy tourists from China, Europe, and the Gulf, more high-end tourism, less cheap tourism. This is not personal. It's economic evolution. Thailand is simply outgrowing the old model, and Western tourists are feeling the consequences. The paradise that once welcomed everyone? It's becoming exclusive, and Thailand is unapologetic about it. The new Asian tourism reality across Asia. A new reality is emerging. One where nations no longer chase every tourist, but carefully choose the ones who fit their future. Asia's economies are stronger, its societies are more vocal, and its governments are prioritizing the travelers who show respect and spend money. Americans aren't being banned, but they're no longer being chased, celebrated, or placed on a pedestal. The world is shifting away from the old era, the era where Americans assumed every country wanted them. In 2025, the truth is sharper. Countries are choosing who they welcome and who they quietly push away. Millions of American tourists are discovering something they never expected. Asia's red carpet is being rolled back. The world has changed. The question now is simple and unavoidable. Will American travelers evolve with it or be left behind by it?